Okay, people, so The Beast Within. It is directed by Alexander J. Farrell, who co-wrote it with Greer Ellison. It is produced by Alex Chang, Jack Christian, Ryan Hamilton, Martin Owen, Evan Ross, Sebastian Street, and Jonathan Wagner. It's executive produced by Ying Yi, Ruta Waring, Michelle Vezegi, Vinod Mahana Sundram, Kanish Mahana Sundram, Doris Puffendresser, Tom Ogden, Michael O'Lonergan, Drew Morleen, Grant Miller, DJ McPherson, Bryony McNally, Cynthia Stephen Calefa, Walter Houston, Chris J., Gary Hamilton, Greer Ellison, Elf Eek, Ben Jukes, Perry, oh dear, Perry Doc, De Pascal Alavera, Nicholas Dos Graffarind, Kaylee Cohen, Adam Bramish, and Brian Beckman. It's co-produced by Tammy Bashon, DJ Dude, Spencer Friend, and Paolo Piladi. Associate produced by Sally Collette, Hannah Swayze, Christina Tai, that's it, Jack Halama and Nathan Klein took care of the music. Daniel Katz is on cinematography. Matteo Laclou edits the piece, with Ben Parkinson taking care of casting. Russell De Rosario is production design. Art direction, we have Oscar De Rosario and Kate Hale. Janita Pansur is set decoration. Adam Howe is costume design. Prosthetics, hair, makeup, special effect, creature design, puppeteering. We have Onla Bagley, Rona Mae Campbell, Stephen Harris, Chris Lyons, Christian Mallet, Hannah Scott, Malwina Sowinska, and Nicoletta Tazani. Okay, so our cast. Noah is played by Kit Harington. His wife Imogen is played by Ashleigh Cummings. Right, their daughter Willow is played by Caoilinn Springall. Imogen's dad, Waylon, is played by James Cosmo. Right, our werewolf is played by Andrea Nova and Adam Bazil. We've got the grandmother played by Martina McClements. William is played by Ian Gills. And Chris is played by Hugh Hugh Coles. Okay. Now, the gist of the film. After a series of strange events leads her to question her family's isolated life on a fortified compound deep in the English wilds, 10-year-old Willow follows her parents on one of their secret late-night treks to the heart of an ancient forest. But upon witnessing her father undergo a terrible transformation, she too becomes ensnared by the dark ancestral secret they've tried so desperately to conceal. So yes, that is The Beast Within, right? So this actually was playing in Fantasia, but it was geo-locked, right? So I wasn't able to cover it. So when I saw it pop up on Prime, I was like, okay, let's check this baby out. You know what I mean? So I do like a kind of a folklore-y inspired tale. You know? When done right, it works. So, this film, right, I say, the way it is lit, right, the sound design, really good. Those elements of this film are really good. Get some really interesting camera choices, right? Like sometimes when we're going through, following people through a forest, right? We might get a shot through the bough of a tree and branches, and so it really adds to the atmosphere. All of those things are very good. The acting is solid. You know, we have some very good acting. The idea of the story isn't bad. It's nothing particularly new, but, you know, it's an interesting one. The script and execution, though, that's where this gets a little shaky, right? Because, you know, like in the synopsis, it's like a series of strange events, but not overly clear, you know, not overly clear. They're, you know, it's not exactly like these excursions to the forest are that well concealed. You know what I mean? It is kind of obvious. And if you're trying to hide this secret, wearing a big, you know, fur coat, like pretending to be a dog, all of these things don't really seem to be doing a very good job of, you know, hiding this thing, right? You're just like, wait, what are we doing here? What is this? You know? So all of those things are kind of weird. There's a couple of instances where people outrun cars, right? And you're just like, no, like that makes no sense, right? Or even if you know where they're going to, you're not going to be there, you know, basically the same time as them. That just doesn't make any sort of sense, right? Now, throughout, we get these kind of flashback scenes. The flashback scenes seem to be coming from Noah. You know what I mean? So I think within these things, you obviously can't take them as necessarily being the full truth. You know what I mean? Couldn't really do that. But then we're building this story, but there's certain things that get hinted at. Well, I mean, like bruises. You know, there's some bruises get hinted at, but then pretty much like we hear things, so you know what's going on in that regard. Right? But there's other weird things, like it seems Imogen and Willow aren't allowed to wear dresses. Don't really know why, right? That aspect of things seems odd. It's not really explained. Because it's not like there's anyone there. So, it's not like someone's parading themselves through the town, winking at all the hot guys. You know what I mean? Like, there's no one there. So what would be the issue of a dress? You know what I mean? So it's these odd things that are like, what are you saying here? What are you trying to do? You know? Like, there's this bit at the very end where they're kind of going, oh, was it really this, or could it have just been this, right? But then a lot of the story makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like the excursions to the woods, right? Doesn't really make any sense. A lot of the other things with Wayland make no sense. You know, it's just, I get what they're trying to do with the ending, you know? And I think that is something that oftentimes gets played with in a story like this. But you have to lay a better foundation for your audience to be like, oh yeah, it could have been that. You know what I mean? Because we don't really get that here, right? There's moments of people supposedly seriously injured, but then all of a sudden they're moving, you know, which is odd. And here's a big thing, right? And we have bits in the film with Noah pretending, as I said, pretending to be a dog, you know, sniffing and all of that business. So, dogs, really good hearing, really good sense of smell, which then makes hiding pretty pointless. Because in theory, there's no way you're hiding from anyone with good hearing and good smell. Because, you know, the fear induces sweat, smell. Any sort of movement, hearing. Plus, you always, every time you have a film where someone's hiding, they're always breathing real hard, right? So, like, anyone with good hearing will hear that. You know what I mean? So, there's just things in this film, for me, that didn't work. Right? Willow's got this issue where she has to use an oxygen tank, but it's not consistent. So you're just like, okay, what induces the need for the tank? Is it anxiety? Like, what is it? Because then it would make things better for the story, right? Because if it's anxiety, if it's fear, anytime the tank, you'd be like, oh shit, what's happening? You know what I mean? But if it's just all random, you're just like, why does she need this thing? You know? It's just these things. And the forest excursions, you're kind of like, what's the point? Right? If the whole end sequence, it kind of go, what's the point? Right? And there's something like Waylon had said earlier, where you just be like, oh, so the end isn't necessarily the first time So you're just like, so what's the point in the forest? Or surely you put better things in place. But we don't get that. So, yeah, I think the ideas are there. But it's just the execution is a bit all over the place. You know? Bit all over the place. Like, it's a bit with Imogen and a gun. And you just be like, okay, what was the need to put it down? Like, she's got pockets. Like, you know what I mean? There was just no need for it to be put down. And then it's kind of just forgotten about completely. There's no bit of, oh, let me try and go get that. You know what I mean? It's and also with the gun, considering what we're dealing with, you would just be like, I mean, wouldn't a shotgun be better rather than a handgun? Or just something higher caliber, you know? So there's some odd choices here. There's some odd choices. I think, you know, you can see what they're trying to do. Trying to build this tension, trying to build this ambiguity into a story, so you do kind of question the whole thing, hence the title. But it just doesn't really work. You know, we've got issues with the script, especially a lot of Willow's lines, but you'd be like, is a kid talking like that? You know? So yeah, this doesn't necessarily work for me. Now, if you like things like Lord of Misrule, right? Starvacre, there was a film a few years back that we covered during the London Film Festival. It's Rose, right? Something like Rose and the Unexpected Love Story or something like that. But if you like those kind of stories, The Beast Within could be of interest to you. You know what I mean? I don't think it's as good as any of those. But, you know, it's themically along the same lines. So, yeah. The Beast Within is on Prime Video. So if it sounds like it might be for you, go check it out.